So I have over here a rendering with the body colors for the Mini Cooper. And this will be the case study layout that we are going to set up within Blender. So to get started, we're going to have the Mini Cooper model within an FBX file format. So within Blender, I will go to File, Import FBX, and I will choose that car. So within Mini Cooper, the FBX, and I will hit Import. We're going to see how the model will be loaded at the center over here. If I will press on the numpad 1, this will give me the front view. And as we can see, we have the size of the car over here. So this will be the width. If I will press 3, this will give me the side view. And roughly the car should be around 3.7 meters. We can also go to the measure tool. And if I will start measure all the way from the front, all the way to the back, we're going to see that this will be roughly around 3.67, so quite close to the original size of the car. Okay, I will also delete the default cube, so select that and press delete on the keypad, or right click and delete that. So to get started, we should also create the surface where we're going to position those cars. As you can see over here, the easiest solution would be to add a plane and start changing that plane. So to do that, I will press Shift A. This will add a new element, and I will choose Mesh, afterwards Plane. And we're going to see that the default plane added by Blender will be 2 by 2 meters over here on the X and Y. Now, I will change the Y to be larger. For example, over here I will add 20 meters. And now, if we want to move this surface so that we can further extrude it over here on the Z-axis, we can just move this to the back. So I will press G in order to grab. Afterwards, I will press Y in order to select the axis. And if I will move over here the mouse, you're going to see that we can translate this. Over here in the corner, in the top left, we're going to see the distance. So if I will move it all the way over here, we're going to see this will be roughly around 8 meters. If I want to add a numeric value, I can just press 8, either on the numpad or on the key. And for example, I press on the numpad, and we're going to see that this will snap, so this will be translated 8 meters. Now, we should extrude this downwards. So to do that, I will press Tab to go within edit mode. I will go over here and do an edge selection. You can also press 2. As you can see, this will give us directly. If I will press 3, this will give me face selection. With 2, this will give me edge selection, so I can select edges. And if I will hit 1, this will give me vertex selection. So go to edge selection, select the front edge, press E for extrude. Afterwards, you can move the mouse downwards. And you're going to see that the direction is currently defined by the mouse position. So I just press on Z in order to constrain this to the Z-axis. And I will go with a value of -5 over here. So I will do the same over here on the back. Select that, press E for extrude, Z. And I will extrude this, for example, 10 meters. And if I will zoom out, we're going to have the following surface over here. Now, before we can start and add the bevel over here, we should also apply the normals, the transformations. Sorry, not normals. Why we need to do that? Because if I will select this edge and if I will press Ctrl B in order to start to do the bevel, we're going to see that the bevel will be like this. So over here, since we only extruded this on 5 and this on 20, this will not go a line at the middle. In order to change that, all we have to do is press Tab to go back to object mode, or you can click it over here on the top. We can go to object, and we're going to have the apply, and I will choose to apply all transforms. And we see over here the current scale on the y-axis is currently set to 10. But if I will go to object, apply all transforms, we're going to see how that will go to 1. So also the scaling on the y-axis will be 1. And if I press again Tab, this will take me back to edit mode. I still have the same selection over here, which is this edge. If I will press Ctrl B with the edge selected, we will see that now I can bevel this. Now within Blender, the bevel, if you want to make this round, we just need to add additional segments, because currently this will look like a chamfer from a computer-aided design software. And we can easily do that by moving the scroll wheel. So if I will move it forward, I'm going to add segments. If I will move the mouse wheel towards me, that will reduce the number of segments. And I will go with 5 segments. And if I also want to specify a specific value for the offset, I can just input that on the numpad. We see that this will be around 0.74 over here, so I can just type in 0.5 on the numpad, hit enter, and we're going to have that added. Okay. Now, let's see over here. This will look like this, so we should also shade that. If you want to make this more rounded, I can just right click and set the smooth to be shade smooth, and that will no longer make those visible. And I'm going to apply the same bevel over here with a value of 0.5. The number of segments will remain the same, so 5, so just select that. And we have those surface added. Now, it's not required to add the shaded smooth again, because this is the same object, and if I already applied over here, it will also be on the back. So, to get started, we should also have this car duplicated. We have the possibility to use the array, but in this case, I will choose not to use the array because I want all of those to be individual. So, one solution would be to select, for example, this plane. If I will go to the modify, add modifier, I can type in over here array. And within the array, I can also increase the number of counts, and I can also change the value over here. But if I will apply this, afterwards, they will all be nested within the same model. So let's take a look at that. If I will hit apply, we're going to see that all the planes are within the same element over here. And over here, now I should press tab, A to select all, press B in order to separate, and I want to separate this by loose parts, and only now I will have all of those individual. So we can also do that, but we can also do this another way. So I will also go to edit, preferences, and over here within system, make sure that the undo step will be set to a higher value. By default, this is set only to 32. So I recommend you to add, for example, 200 over here. Now, I will select those planes, and let's see, another solution to do this multiplication would be, I also want to select the car as well as the surface. So over here, I'm still under that measure tool, go back to box selection. If you don't have box selection over here, make sure that this is the one selected. Maybe you're going to have a circle or lasso or a twig. And if I will do a rectangle selection like this, that will grab, as you can see over here, the car and the plane. But since for the car we also have the interior, so if I will hide this, for example, we're going to see that we also have the meshes for the car interior. And this is why it's usually a good idea to use toggle X-ray when you're going to do a selection. As you can see, this will allow selecting through items. So in this case, I will enable that. And now if I will do the same selection over here, we're going to see that it will act the same. So we're going to have this model where we have also those axes and the plane. And now if I will press Shift D, this will do me a duplicate of that. So I press Shift D, afterwards I can move the mouse. I can also press X in order to constrain it. And let's say that we want to copy this at 3 meters. So I'll just press 3, enter, again Shift D, grab, so G. On the X-axis, again 3 meters. And redo that several times. Afterwards, you can disable the X-ray. And the scene should look like this now. And now this will be the reference. Maybe over here we didn't have such a large gap. So over here I added a larger gap. Consider to add, for example, 2.6 if you want to be a little bit closer to the reference. But I will leave it like this. So let's see how we can start adding those colors. One solution would be to use the eyedropper tool. So I will press the Windows button and the left key, and this will take me over here, as we can see, to the left side. So currently on my screen I only have Blender added over here on half of the screen, and with this image I will press Windows and right key, and this will take that within the right side. So I will select the first car chassis over here. I will go to the material tab, and over here you can also expand this, and for the base color I can select on that color, and we can use the eyedropper tool in order to copy the color properties. So I will click on that, and afterwards, for example, over here on this surface where we don't have any shadows, we're gonna have the color added over here. If you don't see it within the viewport, this is because we don't have the shading enabled in the viewport. So in order to do that, you can move the mouse over here, since currently we have shrink the screen. And if I will just leave my mouse over here, I will turn the mouse scroll, we're going to see that we can navigate to that. And it's important over here to add the viewport shading. So as soon as I will hit the add viewport shading, we're going to see how those colors will be added. Now, since all the cars had the same standard material, we're going to see that this has been added onto everything. So what we need to do next, if for example I will just, we're going to see that this same material will be used a total number of 205 times within the scene. So we see that over here. We have also the possibility to unlink the data, so I can just select that and delete. But we're going to see that that material will still be stored within the others. So for the first one, I can create a new material. I can select over here, and I can start copy that. For the second one, I will create a new material, and over here with the eyedropper tool, I will go somewhere over here where we have that orange color. And we can start do the same for the others. So we're going to have the gray. The next one will be the red one. So also keep in mind that you need to press on the case over here. I didn't select the proper model, so this should be that. I selected the one underneath, which will be black. So delete that, create a new material, and have that copied over here. The same over here for the last one. This will be the black one, and I will select the color black over here. Now, some other changes that we can do. We're gonna see that the first one, which will be this white color, for this section over here, I can just change this to be black, but if I will change this standard material and I will make this black, everything will become black. So I will just delete this. I will create a new material, and again I will copy the black material over here. We can also give this a different name if I want to apply it to different cars. So I will just call this black, and we're going to see if I want to apply it over here rapidly, I can just delete that, go over here, and I can apply the black one. So I'll do the same for each of those, because this is the main purpose of this exercise, is to get familiar with Blender. So we see that those two different black shades over here. We can also make this more metallic if you want to, but we're gonna take a look at this a little bit further ahead. We can also change the roughness over here if you want more specular, because we see how many reflections are over here. We can change this roughness to 0.25. Let's add 1.5 over here. Okay, so mostly we have copied the colors over here. What I'm gonna make this full screen so we can better visualize this, and I'm just gonna add the metallic value over here of 0.1, And I will do the same for the red color. So metallic 0.1, and I want a roughness of 0.25, so we're going to have those specular elements added over here. So roughness, something like that. And I will do the same for each model over here. So this should be the metallic one, 0.1. And over here for the roughness, 0.25. And the same for the first one, roughness 0.25. Okay. Now, if you're going to take a look within the reference, we're going to see that this one will have those, so the one in orange will have a black roof. So over here I can select the roof, I can delete that, I can create a new color, and I can also just add a black color over here, for which I can change the roughness. I can also change the metallic of this. And you're going to see how that will be influenced. Keep in mind that the same color will also be added onto the exterior of the mirrors. And if you're going to check the reference image over here, we're going to see this will have a black roof, and we're going to have those black mirrors. The only difference is that we're going to have the same black as over here as well. So if I will select the next element, which is this one, we're going to see that this should also be more close to this one. So I'm just going to call this black one, for example, and I will apply the same over here onto the one that we previously defined. And we're going to see that this will have a little bit better contrast than the one created previously. This is why, if you want to work with coloring and rendering, it's highly important to check your references and start doing various changes. So I can apply the same over here on the front grill over here. So I can just select that. You're going to see that this will be a mesh. If I press G, I can move it. And I can use the same black one material over here. You're going to have some chrome elements over here. And we can change that to be to a more metallic material. But before I will do that, I will also delete this material, because that will be linked with all the cars. I will not ungroup those elements. We're going to see that even the exhaust over there will have the same material. So I'll create a new one. For the base color, I will go for something more gray, but over here I will add a little bit of roughness. So we're going to have that chrome material. Within this first case study, we are not going to take a look at extended materials from BlenderKit. We can also see how we can define various elements over here. So mainly just by changing the metallic aspect and the roughness, we can easily obtain some complex materials. Over here for the elements that, if I want to add so to the back a different material over here, it would be recommended to have those separated. So to do that, I will just press Tab, A to select everything, P in order to separate, and I will separate these by loose parts. And that means that I will gonna have everything separate now. So I can just delete this material, I can create a new one. I will call this, for example, glass. And in order to make the material transparent within Blender, all we have to do is change the alpha over here. So we see how I'm changing that alpha value, and we're going to see underneath that. So for example, a value of 0.1 will be like this. If I want to add the same material over here, I can just add glass. And we're going to see that now we see within this light over here. So we're going to have those additional elements. We can also start working on those. So regarding those materials on the inside. And if you're going to take a look over here, we're going to have this glass that is also tinted with black. So I can just select this one. I can delete it. I can create a new material. I will call this, for example, windshield. And I can specify the base color. For example, I can go to something a little bit more dark over here. And afterwards I can just change the alpha. And with a value of 0.5 in this case, we're going to have the following output over here. You're going to see that it will be a little bit noisy over here, but we can also do some changes. So I will adjust that to metallic. It will not have direct influence on that. But if I'm going to expand this, the index of refraction, we're going to see how we can change with that. So again, I can make it a little bit more dark, but now with an index of 9, it will look like that. So I just lower this index to something like 1.3. And that should be good enough for now. Over here, if I see a little bit more on the inside, but as we can see over here within the reference, we can see the shape of those seats. So something like this should be fine for now. And I also want to apply the same material over here. So that will be the windshield material. You can also filter those over here. If you're just going to start typing, you're going to see that the naming will be the same and we can easily apply that. Now, for the pillars, let's take a look at the reference. And we're going to see that the pillars will be black in this case. So I will just use the same black one material that I added previously over here. And starting with this, I highly encourage you to start working on the wheels, on the rims, and let's take a look at how we can also add a number plate over here. So we see within the reference they have that, but I have this number over here. So in order to apply that number, also for this, we should have the windshield. And if you want to add also some elements on the interior, I recommend you to hide the windshield, for example. Just press H, that will hide it. And afterwards you can start working on the interior, but keep in mind that everything will be like this. So if you want to add, for example, just on a section of the chair, you should press Tab to go within edit mode. I will select one face over here, so I will go for face selection, select the one in the middle, press Ctrl and plus, this will do an expand of the selection. And you can see that even though I will further expand this, this will not go over this. And with this selected, I can just press P, keep in mind that P is for separate, and I will go to separate the selection. And now we're going to see that this will be individual, and again we can start to work and add some textures over here. But over here you can also make use of Blender Kit. If you don't have this installed, you can just go on Google, search for Blender Kit, download the archive, and afterwards within preferences, add-ons, you're going to say that you want to install from disk. You're going to select that archive, and Blender Kit should pop up over here. Now let's see the number. If I will select the number, we're going to see that again we're going to have the front and the one in the back. So the first thing that we need to do is press Tab to go to edit mode, press A to select everything, P for separate, and I will separate this by loose parts. And now I can just select the front plate over here. Now I will press 1 to go to the front view. I will hold down Shift and middle mouse button in order to center on this. And with this selected, I will delete the material. I will create a new one. And now if I want to add that photo, I can just go to the shading. Again, I can press 1 in order to be centered on this. And this will be the structure of the new material. So before we just change the values over here within the base color and the metallic roughness and index of reflection, as long as with alpha if we want transparency. But if I want to add the base color to be an image, I can just drag and drop that within Blender. So I use this Romanian number plate, and I will connect the color to the base color, and we're going to see how that will snap over here within position. Now this will not be properly aligned. This is due to the fact that the size of the plane used for the number plate and the actual image will not be the same size. So in order to change this, we can go to UV18 at the top. Over here, I will also enable the viewport shading so I can visualize it over here. I will press 1 again to fit over here. And we're gonna see that will be the number plate. So if I will just press A, that will select everything. And we're gonna see over here, if I will deselect those, so I'll just click over here. Now we just have the image over here, which is a raster image made from pixels. And if I will press A over here, this will select everything, and we're gonna see that mesh over here in the back. So again, I can just do a rectangle selection, and all that I have to do, I will also zoom in so I can better visualize what's happening. I can press S in order to scale, and I want to scale this on the Z-axis. Press also Z, and now you're gonna see how we can change that size. So if you want to constrain this, sorry, not Z, because over here you're just gonna have Y and X. So this will be the first one. As you can see, if I will move the mouse a little bit downwards, the number plate will fit like this. So we're gonna have that black border. If I will press tab, we're gonna see how that will align. If you wanna position it a little bit closer, so we see over here we only have a slight gap, but that is also how the image, as you can see over here, the gap over here with the one over here is a little bit different. So I can just press tab, select everything, G in order to grab this, and on the x-axis I will slightly move it to the left like this. So this will a little bit better align, and we see that distance over here will be closer to the one over here, even though our original image wasn't like that. If you're gonna go back to the layout, we're gonna see how that number plate will align over here. So in order to finish this, I encourage you to start working with those colors. For example, over here I want to add the same material, so the one over here, material 01, I want to add it over here. And I also encourage you to change the number of the material so it will be easier. For example, this should be orange. You can just double click, call that orange. This should be white, gray, red, and black. And for the material for the windshield, you can just use the same that we already defined. So this will be the windshield. If I will select two elements at once and I will add the material, we're going to see that we need to do this step by step. Therefore, we are not going to start discussing about lighting within this video. So within viewport shading, just make sure that you're going to arrange those cars, and also you're going to copy. For example, the orange material should be added over here. The gray one should be over here, which is, I'll just rename this gray. So I don't want to create a new material, I want to add an existing one, which is the gray one. And do the same for the red, white, and black over here. And afterwards, try to play around with the numbering, the number plate over here. So it's important that you learn how to add images and how you can do that simple unwrapping for elements like this that are that do not require unwrapping. It will be a lot quite easy. So you just need to add the photo, drag it, and scale it over there. Okay, so I hope that you find this video useful. I will position a similar video over here on the left side, and I will also add a subscribe button to the right. So that's it. Thanks for watching.